Let me just share a screen. Yeah. So, today is supposed to be the fifth session, right, for the backend parts. So, main topic was to just look at templating today. It's pretty straightforward and simple topic. But in the last session, we missed out on actually implementing the connecting the MySQL database to a REST API project. No? So we'll just do that quickly today. It's not much stuff. Should take maximum 25 minutes to half an hour. So just stop me in between if you're having any doubts. And from the previous sessions one also, you can take a look. I've updated the Notion page. I guess this one. Yeah, so both the sessions are there. My net is a bit slow, so it's not being loaded. But yeah, you can download the Excalibur files for yourself and also take a look at the videos. And yeah, if you have any doubts, just feel free to pause and we can get started. Okay, so if you remember, we implemented a student management API, which allowed us to create, read, update, delete students, right? And we used an array of objects within the code. So every time we refresh, we lost all the previous data, and we learned like if we have it in a local db.json file, the data persists, but that's not the best way to store data. So that's why we came into database concepts, and we saw SQL, right? So today, what we'll do, we will uh, take the data in a code level and convert it into a table format in MySQL, all right? So all the operations, creating a new student, fetching all students, updating a student, and even deleting a student, we will use SQL queries today to do it, okay? So if you want to get started, just a quick go through. I will be using the code from the previous session 3, I guess. Mm, this one, session 3. Good, it's here, all right? So we have all these endpoints, right, to create a student and edit, delete all those. And we used this one over here to store the student details. Okay, so instead today we'll use MySQL and we downloaded XAMPP. We saw a basic overview of how to use it in the last one. So I'll just put it up again. And before actually getting like connecting the backend to the database, we first need to create the database and the tables inside it, no? So like the schema we created last time. So over here we'll use the reference that we did last time as well. In the student we have their name, their department, and their register number. Conditions being the register number should be unique. No two students should have the same register number. So we'll actually see how to implement that this time around. And yeah, let's get started. So I'll just create a new database, create database, name of the database. So student, um, I guess the student DB should do it. Then let's go into that and create a new table. If you remember the command, it was create table, open the parentheses, and in here the column details go, right? So I'll just put ID again as detail. I mean, as default, this will be the primary key, and this will be auto increment. Obviously missing the data type, just so integer. Then name, this can be what, just a second, guys. Yeah, sorry for the things. Yeah. So the name will be worker of 55, then department. And so maybe um, maybe this can be 10 maximum. I mean, I'm not expecting for that big. People just small EC, CAC, and all that. Oh, my bad. Table name, students over here, and finally register number. Let's follow SQL convention. This will be, I guess it's always 13 maximum. And yeah, not none unique. So this should create my students table. And yep, that worked. Okay, so let's go into the code now. So to get started, I'll be using something called a library called MySQL2, which is basically allows me to connect to MySQL database and also send queries and receive updates whether anything happened or not. So you can go to this npm package and download it. Let me try it. So this is just simple npm MySQL2 in your project. I've just copy pasted the same project in session 3 for now. You can see it's having the same things. And just install this. And what we can do next is I've done some preparation early on. So the package JSON has the same two scripts, dev for node one, start for node, which goes to the server. In server, there's nothing much changed. It's you're still using your students array over here, not your actual database. But notice here, I have a utils folder. Inside that, I have a database script. Okay, so in this, I'm just importing the library and I'm doing MySQL. It gives me a method called create connection. And for every database, you need to identify how to connect to it, right? So you need like where it is coming from. Does it have any authentication or password to connect? Which specific database do I need to connect it to, right? So if I come to the panel again, you see the whole thing is your MySQL server, and inside your server, you have multiple databases. These are your databases. So you need to specify that also which database you're currently connecting it to, and you need to provide the right authentication, is whether the person trying to access is allowed to open it or not. Uh, like you, just simply a person cannot send queries to your database, right? It should be someone who's allowed to do it. So in case you're working in a development environment, that is usually a local host where it's hosted at, you don't need a password because it's only you working. So you just need to specify user as root, meaning that's you who's sending a request. Host is basically where the database is currently hosted. In this case, it's our own local system. So this can also be 127.0.0.1, that as well. But usually it'll be like an actual connection string if it's hosted somewhere else. Maybe in the last session, we can take a look how to connect to actual hosted MySQL database. And in that case, we'll need to specify a password. This one will be required over there. Okay. And what I'm doing is this create connection does not actually connect to my database yet. It just returns a connection object. So with this connection object, I can then proceed to connect to my database. It can give me options to send queries, all those custom queries in a raw format. All right. And why I specifically use MySQL2 is basically because its promises are allowed in this. So if you remember the promise, how promises work, it gives you the ability to async await specific methods, or you can even use .then .catch. So it's easier to read code and write code that way. So I've used MySQL2 in this case. So it allows me to do that. So the create connection returns a connect object. Then we invoke the promise method, and through that we can get access to all other methods of SQL in a promise object. promise object returning the 3 states: fulfilled, rejected, pending, all those. Okay. Yeah. So after I've done that, I'm just exporting the connection object and I'm going to import it in my server JS over here. I've not done any other changes to the code, just a minor one. So I've imported here. Then I'm come to the down. You see I've done connection.promise. So I'm invoking the promise method so that I can use the dot then dot catch. Then I'm calling dot connect. So what this does is this really initiates something called a handshake. Note the term handshake. Yeah. So handshake basically it's pretty straightforward. You and another person when you connect hands, a handshake happens, right? So that connection is what is called a handshake between your backend, between your server and your database. So there's a handshake initiator. And then what I'm doing, then only I'm starting my server. It kind of makes sense because all of these methods, I cannot do it without actually being connected to my server. So if there's any error connecting, don't even start the server. Just let me know that, hey, there was something wrong and console log the error itself. We can try it out actually. I'll open my terminal. It will run that. Wait for this. Yeah. So connected to database and server running. But now what if I change the host? This a small smelly mistake. It gives me the error now, unable to connect. E not found. Basically, the host was not able to be located. So that was pretty straightforward. We got it using the dot cache method. We could actually skip this, but then we'd have to do callbacks. So you'll have to call one function inside another and that inside another. It's very hellish to do. You don't want to spend effort in that. This is much easier to work with. Okay, let's just fix this. Open host. And yeah, we can get started first. Let's go with something simple. Read all students, right? So instead of sending the students object in the top level, what we can do is select all the details from the database, right? So I'll just come over here. I'll put const response. I'll make this a asynchronous function. Awaited connection dot promise. And over here, I'll have access to a query method. This takes in the string. The string is your actual query to your database. So over here, if you remember the syntax to fetch all the entries from your students table, just to select all from and the name of the table students. Okay. And what this response does is it returns me rows and the columns. Columns we don't usually need it. It's only for data types related activities. We'll just console.log response dot 0. Okay. I mean, returns it as an array of two things. The first one being the row, second one being the columns. Let's save it. Open up Postman. Just feel free to stop me if you have any doubts, okay? Get all students. Let's send it. Yeah. So one mistake I did was I didn't change the database. So I'm trying to search a table that doesn't exist in this test database. If I open up the panel, you can see that there's a test database, but there is no table inside here. What this caused to do is stop my server as a whole. And now I can't send any requests at all. It will not receive any requests. So in such cases, it's best to put a try catch block like this. Okay, let's take this down. Okay, so try catch block, if you remember, it catches any exceptions, any errors, and sends them to the catch block without stopping your code. So this is the same thing that will happen. I'll just console.log the error, and I can put response.status 500. and then just put a JSON message of internal server error. Let's not get into detail of handling all SQL errors. We'll just keep it generic now. Okay. So I've done this. I'll go to Postman, send the request again, and I can get this. See, internal server error. So something went wrong, right? That's good to know. What for now? We'll be focus on the uh, code level. Okay, we don't need to handle much errors on the client side or how the client will use. So we can see the error table students test or students. We see the in the database test the students table does not exist. So let's fix it. Come over here and just put student DB if I'm not wrong. Yeah, student DB. That's right. So control S and send the request again. This time it works. So it send the students, but that is from the previous empty array. So if you see the console, it's an empty array here as well because there is no entry in my database. So right now I feel like this is not much readable. What I can do instead is just destructure the response and take the rows alone. And then I'll pass in the rows over here. Then yeah, let's send it. Still an empty array, so it works. Any doubts with this? I mean, does seem big, but we are actually interacting with our database now. Come to this. I'm not sure this is going to let us try it out. I've never done this one. Hmm, okay, okay, I'm getting distracted, my bad. Okay, so the get all students works. Let's just try creating a student now. So this part remains same, literally same. Okay, so let's try to implement, make this a asynchronous function. Uh, Try catch block, bring this down. We copy the same one here, and the structure all remains the same. Obviously, it will create a new student and all that. And instead of pushing to a new uh, that array which we made on the top, this one, let's actually create a new entry in our database. All right. So if you remember, it was insert. No? So cons response equals await, and let's see. Uh, Students, sorry, connection dot promise dot query. Let's put a backtick here. Insert into students, and then the columns, right? So we had the name, department, and the register number. We won't need this anymore. We can directly put it here, but in usual cases, you will actually need to put it because you need to like verify it. Even though SQL does have a level of verification that, hey, no, this cannot be empty. It's well and good to put your own code level verification so that you don't, put invalid entries into your database. Let's insert the actual values. Over here, it'll be your name, then your department, then your register number. And one thing to note is these things come in single quotes. If it's a string or character type, single quotes is important. Okay. And let's just see if this works. Once we got the response and come over here, um, create student, and let's send this. See, something went wrong. Let's take a look. Okay, because we put the invalid column name. So it should be reg underscore number. You remember, right? So if I go to here, this is reg number. Even the column name needs to match properly for it to work. So send this. New student created. Let's see what response we got. Okay, we got the response. Affected rows one inserted. So basically something got affected in the records that we put, and the ID of that specific row got created as one because it's the first entry, right? And obviously columns is undefined because you're not concerned with that. So let's remove this for now. Go into SQL. Let's refresh this. And yeah, you see the data is actually here now. Now, what would happen if uh, okay, I made a mistake. It was not 13, it was actually 15 because 5 1 also matters. Okay, we'll look at that later. If I send it, this should give me internal server error. Why? Because the register number already exists in my database. If you remember, we put it as unique. So it will give me an duplicate entry. Yeah. Yeah. Duplicate entry. This register number already exists. Uh, so that satisfy the criteria, right? We can probably handle this a better way, but we'll take a look at error handling at some other session. But yeah, so this works for now. If I change the register number for now, to say as one, enter, this should create a new student, right? Reload. Cool. So it's working perfectly fine. Let's see if the get also works. Get all students. Send. Yep. Perfect. Okay. And next is for the get student by register number, no? So over here, you need to put this array thing of sorts. Let's just response, response, await connection, dot promise, and then the query method. In here, it will be select as well, but we need to do a few things. I forgot to connect this async, try catch, obviously, to handle the errors. So the query is, this is a more of a filtering option, right? So will be select all from students, and this will be where the register number is equal to this register number over here. For now, I'll just put a 404 by default, and I'll console log the response. So we can see what it actually is when we send a register number. The postman gets student by register number, send this. Okay, something went wrong. Okay, the quotes one. Please don't forget the quotes. This is important. And obviously the okay column name is correct. Yeah. Okay, so it returns me rows and columns again. The first one being the row, and inside row all the responses that match. So I'll take the rows, and inside this I will check for the first entry. So if rows of 0 does exist, rows length is greater than 0, and rows does exist, then the send rows of 0 as a response. If not, just send student does not exist. So this should work. Let's go to Postman, send it, and we're getting it. Let's put a wrong student, 102. Student with given register number does not exist. Okay, so it's working just as you want. Put 101. It gives me the other one. All right. This is good. Next, let's take a look at update shooting. So for this, we use something called the alter statement. Alter SQL. Yep. Um, Sorry, alter was for editing tables. Edit entry in SQL. I guess that was the update. Yeah, update statement. Yeah, so update takes in the table name, set the new value and where condition. Okay, so in this case, it was for the name. So let's go to the update students. So this was to update the name, right? So we won't need this, convert this into async, and then catch the errors. Okay, and now let's take the response. Response equals wait, um, connection dot promise dot query. Okay, this is the method dot query, and then send the query is update in the table students and set the name, right? So set name is equal to name. Don't forget the single quotes and then the condition where register number is equal to register number. Single quotes always for string data types. Console log response. Let's just see what it is. And let's see if this works. They shouldn't need to just send this. Slash API register number and name. What am I sending the slash APIs? Okay. Students, I'm not sure how I missed that out, but yeah. Send this student updated. The response is basically the same as when you're inserting a new column. So it shows you rows matched, one of them matched, and the values got changed one. And yeah, we can exit this. Usually you want one more condition where if there is no match, you send like a same response. Student does not exist. Please give the correct register number. So you can try this out. Let's go to the database. It's currently just Kunal. Let's reload this and see should be Kunal key. It's going in as undefined. That's completely odd. This is not what I expected. Let's see the statement set column one equals value with okay, coming as undefined. And this should not come from the parameters, it should come from the body. Cool. Now it should work. Come to the admin and reload. Yeah, so the name part is also working now. And the final one is deleting from the database, right? I mean, let's just see if it actually worked. Get all students. right here, and okay, okay, this works perfectly good. And the final one is a delete query. Now we're going to delete. Let's see at the code. Make it asynchronous again. Make sure you catch the errors. If you need this, let's skip the error checking for now, but directly the deleting. Okay? So, and this one will be the just the register number. So const response equals await connection dot promise dot query, and I forgot the percentage. If I'm not wrong, is supposed to be delete uh, from students, and then where. Okay, let's check it. It's been a while. Okay, yeah, delete where from table name and where, and then the condition is basically the same. The register underscore number is equal to the register number we get from here. Put that in single quotes. And if this is done, return response dot JSON with the message string deleted. All right, let's try this out. And it's not coming because students, yep, send student deleted. Let's go to the panel, reload. And yeah, so that student got deleted. What if I try to delete a student that does not exist? Okay, that is working. Let's see what the response actually was. It'll probably give matched columns 0. Send. Yeah, so nothing was affected. All right. So what if, yeah, so this works as expected. That is fine. All right. I mean, yeah, so this was it. This is pretty much what you have to do. Now let's just see. You can see the students, this one's no longer used. If I highlight over it, it's declared but never used. So we have completely shifted from using a student's array inside the code to using the MySQL database altogether. This, we can take this off. We don't need it. We don't need this one as well, the students class. We can just delete this one. Okay. So any doubts so far with this? It was hopefully pretty straightforward. You're writing raw queries in this case, but it's better to do it like this first time when you're working on a project. So just let me know any doubts you can put in the chat or unmute. That works as well. Okay, good. Yeah, so the next part was basically called templating. So templating does not necessarily mean for like generating your code in a format like this directly should have these files and all that. In a way it is, but the templating here we are referring to is creating a skeleton, creating placeholders for files so that they can be populated later and then sent to your users. Let's just consider this case with the same student management portal. What if we want a single HTML page for each user? Suppose say there's a user forward slash or student forward slash student name or register number, which is their own query parameter. So that can be custom, right? But now imagine we have to create a page for each user. For small number of users, okay, that's pretty cool. But then for are you going to keep doing the changes for each and every user? One file change should be reflected in all. It's going to be very hectic for doing for who knows how many thousands of users. Imagine if you had to do it for Instagram, right? There's like millions of users there. You won't just create a profile page for everyone. If you notice one thing, all the profile pages have a common styling, common way of uh, where data is placed. Only the data differs, right? That's the same thing what templating actually does. You have a placeholder, a common template upon which you can populate dynamic data like this. So in first page, maybe it will be Kunal and the department. Second page, you can be Jashwin, the name. While all of these have the same style, uh, the data will be different. That's the only difference. You can update one file to reflect the changes in all other. Maybe styling I want to be different. I don't have to change for all HTML files. I can just change it over here. Okay. Just a second. Yeah, so I've written it. Templating allows you to create a skeleton which can be filled with dynamic data for a common purpose. Okay, so that's right. So if you see this page, instead of the name being statically typed, it's going to be like there'll be a syntax for the specific template where suppose say curly brackets name, a curly brackets department, which will be populated by the fields in my database. Okay, so to do this, we'll be using some library called EJS. You can check it out at this URL. This is it. Yeah. So let's just install it and see how we can actually use it. All right. So yeah, npmi EJS, same process. And let's open, see the docs. Okay. So it uses something of a syntax called lesser than, percentage greater than, all that. So these are called delimiters. They are specific syntax where you put where you like specify where the data is dynamic. So in this case, I showed you, right? It can be like either a curly brace or it can be that less than percentage sort of syntax in this one over here. So it can differ from different languages to different templating languages. So EJS basically stands for embedded JavaScript. Since it's just writing HTML JavaScript inside HTML, it's easy to, yeah, it's easy to use, and you won't have much difficulty uh, shifting over. Okay, so the idea is we get the data, we use a template, fill the dynamic data, and that template is converted into an HTML file, which is then sent to the user. So we can you can read it about over here as well. Yeah, it enables you to create a template in your app, and at runtime, the template replaces those variables, that dynamic data, with the actual data we send in, and sends it to the user as a HTML file. So once you install the EJS, just go to your server.js. At the top, you come, just put app.set new engine, sorry, template engine. Then second one is EJS. So you need to specify which language you're actually using to express application. There's different ones, right? EJS, Pug, Jinja, something as well. In this case, we are just using EJS. So you need to specify the dynamic data needs to follow the EJS syntax. All right, so let's just go with a simple one. To the normal convention is that you have a views folder, create that, and inside this, let's just create a students.ejs. All right. And what I'll do is instead of sending a response for get all students as a API, I'll just send it as a HTML page with all the users data for now. Or let's just simplify it even further. Get student by register number, no? So let's just keep it as a student, not all student. We'll look at the individual case. So here I'll create a normal HTML page. And oh, suppose say the title of the page should be name of the student. So I have extension downloaded. Let's go to extensions, search for EJS, and you have this EJS language support. So just download this, and then you can type in your EJS, and you can see it gives all these options already filled. I just want to put EJS out, and this will be the name. Okay, so you can see this is highlighted specially, right? For now, and I mean, let's just do everything. The name, department, and register number, right? So we have the name, department, and register number. I'll use the EJS out syntax. So this will be your reg underscore number. Department will be your EJS out. Reg, I mean, this department. And the name EJS out again. This will be your name. So let's go to the server.js code. Instead of sending the response as a JSON, I can just do a simple, sorry, over here. Yeah. Response dot render. Pass in the name of the file. So this is just student and the data that you actually want to pass in. So in just the rows of 0. So fingers crossed this should work. Let's send this. I guess the student does not exist, so it gave that error. No default engine was specified and no extension provided. We did set it here. Okay, it's not template engine, it's view engine. Syntax error, my bad. Yeah, send this. Yeah, so it worked now, right? I mean, you can't see it here. Let's just see it in the browser. Copy this. Let's go to the browser and place that one with RA20. Yeah, so it works. It gave me those details. If you see the title also, it has my name. And if I put as some other, it should give me, yeah, it does not exist because we didn't handle that, right? So this is more or less what templating is all about. You're sending dynamic data. You know what? Let's just create another user. Create student Joshua mechatronics and include 595. Okay, so it created that user. I'll just come here and replace that user, that student's register number. And yeah, so it does work just as we wanted to. Pretty cool stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, this is more or less what templating is all about. There's not much to it. You're just filling in dynamic data in a common template. So in this case, the common template was for a single student page, and the dynamic data was the student's name, department, register number. So now I can have n number of students in my database and only one single file to represent. So any changes I want to do, it will reflect for all my students when they try to access this page, right? I mean, so that was it. Nothing much. In the Notion page, I've already finished. Like I've attached some resources for you to look into. So just take a look at them, and I'll push the code now to GitHub. So do take a look. And if you no tasks as of now, probably it was next Monday, I'll give it. Instead, just continue on the second task that I gave on Monday, last Monday, and just try to complete that by this weekend. So let me know if you have any doubts. That was it, guys.
No doubts, bhai.
Cool, cool. How's the session going for you guys? I mean, backend as a whole. I mean, you guys are able to understand, or if it's too fast, too slow, just let me know.
It's kind of fast. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's too fast, but then like I feel like it'd be much better if you like go take some more time on each concept, I guess.
Okay, okay. I mean, yeah, I was feeling the same thing because these are some big concepts.
Yep,
But
exactly.
uh, probably what my main idea right now is to uh, try to finish backend so that we can learn a framework as well. Probably, if needed, we can have sessions in between the front end sessions for backend so that we can clear out some doubts that way. But
Sure.
like I'm just giving you all these concepts and resources so that you guys can build your projects. And still expecting, I mean, not expecting, I'm pretty sure many of you will still be like getting accustomed to creating REST APIs still. You wouldn't have created the full CRUD flow yet, created, update, delete, but that's totally cool. Even I took like 3, 4 months to get adjusted to backend. So what I say is like these sessions, uh, use them as a exposure to all these different things that you have to learn and take your own time to implement and understand them by yourself. Okay.
Sure thing, Brian. Sure thing. Thank you.
Sure, guys, that was it. If any doubts, let me know. We can wrap it up.